Good morning, everyone. This is my very first Instagram Live that I've ever done. Maui really wanted to say hi. He's all wired up this morning. But I never do Instagram Lives. I do Facebook Lives because that's where I've predominantly built most of my community and coven. But now I'm in this major migration to Mighty Networks, and I'm leaving. And hi, good morning. I wave back to you, but for whatever reason, I have felt like I have nearly stranded Instagram, and I think that it's because I just have to create something new. As a witch, I get very, very, and an Enneagram 4, and just a Scorpio person, Aries person in general, but I get really driven towards something when it's new and I have this major challenge that I need to accomplish. But I feel like I've kind of done it, I feel like I've completed my story with the church witch to a point. There's always something or someone to go up against in this world, especially as it's just now really taking the hold that I knew that it would. But it just doesn't feel fresh and exciting to me right now. I don't have anyone to really fight, which I should celebrate and appreciate. But I'm kind of trying to renew and regenerate what this space is, right? And the natural thing that happens, right, when we individualize, is that we have to learn ourselves, right? We have to learn our soul selves first. And once we individualize and really learn who we are as individuals and what we want and what's authentic to us, this is all very, very much my Aries moon talking right now, which is part of what the new moon in Aries is about, especially the later degrees of Aries, is about understanding that once we understand what we want, like me, what I want, then from a place of power and sovereignty, we can say, I'm not interested in that, right? So a great example would be this past week, I had an old friend reach out to me and say, God told me to tell you this. And I haven't had one of those in a while, so it was kind of fun. I don't want to put out the idea to the universe that I like the challenge. I don't like the challenge. My Libra sun is I don't want to fight. But my Aries moon always wants to fight. But essentially this person was the Lord told me that, you've gone too far and now it's time for you to come back home and the prodigal son and blah, blah, blah. And, I was really proud of myself because I was skirt. Number one, I can tell that it took a lot of courage for you, to contact me. I feel like you are trying to be caring, but this kind of communication is not tolerated with me. Number one, you didn't ask me for my permission. You didn't say something like, hey, I had a dream about you. Can I tell you about it? Which then gives me the authority to say something about what you're about to dump on me. This is a whole ass topic that's part of my book. But instead, this person just, basically dumps it. And I'm sure every person watching has had that happen, right? And so what I wanted to offer was well, what do we do about that? I'm gonna put my phone down so I can grab my coffee. I'm sitting in front of my ancestral altar. So you guys are sitting with Bridget right there and my ancestors. So nice little, this is what I do every Monday, especially the weeks I don't have my children. It's much harder the weeks I have my children. But essentially what you do in those situations is you put the responsibility back on them, right? Where you allow them to see themselves for themselves, which is, how do you expect me to respond to that? Right? When somebody does something like that to me, I very quickly take a deep breath. It takes on average 90 seconds to move from a reaction to a response, right? So because I have an Aries moon and I get very irritated with people that try to take my power from me, because that's essentially what this person was doing. They probably consciously didn't realize they were trying to take my power. But when they told me that the God of the universe, very big God, right, has specifically gone to that person to tell them that I'm doing something not right and I'm out of alignment, when I know sure as fuck I'm in alignment, that's not okay, right? And so basically what I said to the person is, I'm sure that you didn't mean harm by this. However, the way that you just communicated with me is not tolerated for me. Number one, you didn't ask my permission. I did not give you consent to tell me what you believe God is telling you about me. I'm not interested. Second of all, thank you for this opportunity for me to practice my boundaries in a real life situation. And third, and I didn't actually say this to this person, I didn't respond beyond that, was that essentially I'm good. Like, I'm good. The fact that what you said to me didn't throw me means a lot, right? Like, it really means a lot to me and my own progress, and I'm proud of myself. So thanks for letting me practice, right? If you wanted to go further, which I typically don't, because in order for them to receive these things, there has to be a certain level of consciousness, and usually it's not present in these moments, is I tend to reflect it back, which is like, well, God told me to tell you that you should ask for permission before you put something on someone. And that never goes well. If you're looking for a fight, that's a great way to do it. But if you are just like wanting to make the space clear, I just let them know I don't tolerate these kinds of text messages. No matter how good your heart is, I do not tolerate these kinds of messages, because you didn't even ask me for my consent before you told me something that could really and truly have thrown me for a long period of time, that could have caused me to regress in my therapy. It's not actually loving, right? What you're doing is trying to tick off a box to make yourself feel better. You're not actually concerned about how I feel, because if you were, you would ask me for my permission, right? And so this is just like an aspect of Aries. You literally can't spell boundaries without Aries, right? So what this boils down to is the fact that this new moon in Aries was 22 degrees. It was in a conjunction to Eris, which is a very far out celestial body. And she is known as the goddess of war. And she is the sister to Mars. But she says take it to the streets. She is all about protesting. She's all about the marginalized. And so I foresee, and I've already seen it, I've already seen where there are more black men being pepper sprayed and murdered for no fucking reason. And Eris is like, take it to the streets, burn the shit down. She's the goddess of chaos. So the fact that she is in a square with Pluto, as America comes into its Pluto return over the next year, is like major evolution, right? And we won't really see it for a couple of years. Like, we'll feel it because Aries is quick moving energy, but we won't really see the lasting change until years from now, because Pluto takes 248 years to make a revolution, which America is coming up on, obviously, as it's coming into its Pluto return. That'll be exact next summer. And then Eris takes 526 years. So the fact that they happen to get squared during the same period of time as the Great Chronicator, which was when Saturn and Jupiter came into alignment in December of 2020, and also all of our eclipses with the South Node last year, it's just such a fucking major time period of change in the paradigm. But how do we do that, right? How do we bring that down on a personal scale? We bring it back to the self. Right? So many people are like, well, that's selfish. Well, Aries is really good at being selfish, because Aries mantra says, I am. And Aries instinctually knows that, like, I have to put the mask on myself before I can put it on the kids, right? And so that's what I'm inviting you into, is you need to know what you want. And that is the backbone of sovereignty. That's the backbone of boundaries, is that if you don't value you, no one's going to value you, right? And if you don't know like what you want and you need, then you're easily going to bend to what other people want and they need. And so the new moon in Aries was also in a conjunction, a pretty tight conjunction, to also Venus and Mercury. And so Venus is how we love. It's about our self-care. It's about our values. Mercury is how we think and communicate. Is that new moon in Aries is more of that internal burn. This is self-care, right? Aries will burn you out, but later degree Aries, once you start to get to the third decan, which is 20 degrees and up, is when Aries starts to get tired, right? Like Aries, as Aries gets older, it gets wiser and it slows down and it doesn't want to run marathons anymore or run sprints anymore. It wants to run marathons. And so that's kind of what I'm offering, is like that invitation is like, what is the marathon you want to run? Considering the fact that, you know, we've got the Saturn-Uranus squares, which are going to be about consistency and what we're changing. It's like, well, what do you know? Like, what do you know that you want to stay committed to, keep running towards? But Aries has to learn self-care, because Aries is a sprinter, like especially early degree Aries. It's pure life force energy. It's the first zodiac sign. It's like rage. It's like, rah, right? And so the later degrees of Aries is like learning the lessons. How can I not burn myself out? How can I take care of myself so I can keep running this race? How do I do that? And it's going to look like knowing how to say no, knowing how to set boundaries, because you can't spell boundaries without Aries, right? And boundaries, it doesn't mean like weaponized boundaries where, you know, you're like, well, that crossed my boundary just because somebody says you didn't want to hear. It's not that. This is about deep internal knowing. With Venus in there, this is about knowing yourself, valuing yourself. Like, for example, somebody I really, really, really love and want to hang out with asked me if I can hang out. But it's like right after I have to teach for 3 hours the day before. And I know I am burnt out from teaching witchcraft for 3 hours straight online. And so I know is like, I can't do that. And so I'm going to, you know, progress the pleasure that I want, which is she'll be coming back into town in a few months, is like, I'm going to prioritize that. It just cannot be a Thursday, because I teach Tuesday nights, I teach Wednesday nights, Thursdays I'm dead. So I can't do that, but let's plan it, right? So these are just lessons. And the fact that, you know, the moon is in a square to Pluto is like long-term evolution, long-term transformation. So it's like you might not see exactly what you want right now, but it's committing to yourself. It's committing to your values. It's committing to like your words, your boundaries, of saying, no, I don't appreciate that. I won't tolerate that kind of behavior, right? No means no. I can't do that. No. And I'm not going to feel bad about it either. That's Aries. So that would be what I would invite you into. And then you just stay with it. Because of the fact that it was in a square to Pluto means that it's going to take at least 6 months to 2 years to develop. So stay with it. Stay vigilant, because of Aries, you know, the goddess of chaos. Like, it's absolutely going to bring up some crazy shit. But that's the tea, y'all. That's what I wanted to say. Also, the other thing with Aries is that because it's such a fire sign, salt baths would be great. Not so much like journaling. Aries wants to move. Self-care to Aries is movement, honestly. It's like you have to change things. You've got to like clean your house, or you got to do whatever. But when you're done, like, time yourself. Like I got an Aries moon. I will use my Alexa and tell her, you know, to set a 2-hour timer. And when that thing goes off, whatever I've done in those 2 hours is what gets done. And then I'm getting in a bath. I'm going to wash it all off. And then I'm going to lay the fuck down and make myself go to bed and reparent myself. Because Aries, at the end of the day, is the child of the zodiac. So you might have to reparent yourself. And that's okay, right? It's all growth. It's all good. So hopefully this was helpful for you guys. My first Instagram live as an individual person. I sometimes go live with people, but yeah, I just wanted to give it a try and see how it feels. I hope you guys have a great week. Other thing is that the first quarter moon, right? So like we are now getting into waxing energy, meaning we are working ourselves towards a goal. And it's going to take, you know, a whole day. The moon moved into Taurus, so it's very slow. Although because we have Uranus in there, it doesn't feel super slow. But it's like movement towards our changes that we've been committing to over the last 3 to 4 years. is that you're going to want to be home. You're going to want a sense of structure and a sense of ground, and good food and security, right? The things that you value. You might spend money too because of it being in Taurus. You might realize there's some sort of comfort you really need, or a house that you need to secure or whatever. But it will draw you towards those more creature comforts. So the first quarter moon will be in Leo next week, right? So we are now going to be working our way to the full wind moon, which is in Scorpio, because we're not that far away from Taurus season. Isn't that crazy? So, all right, y'all, I hope you have a great day. Let me know if you like the live, because this could be like a thing. I'm open to change right now. I'm open to Instagram world change. I would love to know like what you guys want, because I am just like I am seeking to know what you guys want. I am a response-based manifesting generator, which means that like if I don't have anything to respond to, I'll just chill. So let me know, and I will check you guys later. Okay, bye. Now I gotta figure out how to turn this thing off. Let's see. There we go. Okay, bye.